And good evening and welcome to Breaking Today. Believing that you had a great weekend. We have so much lined up for you the whole of this week. But this evening, I have none other than Clifford, who is standing by to bring us business later on in this bulletin. But for now, these are the highlights. Deputy President William Ruto claims that BBI is not for all. Schools reopen amid confusion as low numbers of learners are reported countrywide. And Elections Observer Group ILOG warns of early campaigns. All right, welcome to the broadcast. You can talk to us via our SMS line. That is 111 444 111. Talk to us and tell me where you're watching us from. Now, starting us this bulletin, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has given a directive that no student shall be sent home for lack of school fees. Magoha, who was speaking in Kibra while coordinating the monitoring of reopening of schools in Nairobi, our reporter Andrew Okero visited some of the schools in Nairobi and filed the following story.
Schools shall maintain...
Following the announcement from the Ministry of Education on school reopening, different schools have reopened doors for learners after 7 months at home. First, reopening of schools has begun with grade 4, class 8 and form 4 becoming the first ones to test the new normal post-COVID-19 calendar.
Also, we need to deal with the case of them having stayed in the TV for so long, so their mind has been interrupted. We have come and we are trying to see what we can do with them.
Nyumbani kulikuwa too boring, lakini haiko fit.
Many parents, however, did not receive kindly the alleged rushed reopening of schools during the pandemic, fearing for their children's health and also due to financial constraints.
Nilisema nikuje niangalie juu kulingana na vile hatukuitwa tukaambiwa shule iko na mpangilio gani, ndio nimekuja sasa kujionea mimi mwenyewe.
The government has however assured all the parents that their children will be safe in their respective schools. Speaking while coordinating reopening of schools at Olympic Primary School, CS Magoha said that no schools should accept students back unless they have masks to ensure their safety.
Since I have said that social distancing is going to be a challenge, every child must be safely masked.
According to the Teachers Service Commission TSC, over 300,000 tutors have reported back to school. This comes with the CS Education Professor George Magoha assuring pregnant students of government support throughout the process. The education boss has however insisted that all MOH guidelines must be followed intensively to avoid the spread. Andrew Okero, Switch TV in Nairobi. Now, the directive by the Ministry of Education to reopen schools has been met with mixed reactions. Many parents feel it is unnecessary to open schools in the middle of October, as pupils will have less than 50 days to prepare for exams. This comes amid economic turmoil, as most businesses that depend on the education sector to make profit remain with empty shelves and deserted aisles. Vicky Mogambi reports.
Business runs as usual at this shuttle bus station that normally sees an influx of students traveling back to school in the past years. Some say this is due to apathy experienced by parents and students that seem confused by the Ministry of Education and the state of the Kenyan education sector that still remains in limbo.
Sijaichukulia kama ni kitu muhimu juu hatujakuwa tumejipanga juu tumezoea kama ni April tunakuwa tumejipanga na hivyo. Na sasa tunajua ati hapa kama ni mwezi wa 10 form 4 ndio huwa wana sit for exam. Sasa hiyo kwangu na tena bila kulikuwa na corona hatukuwa tumejipanga kabisa. Kama ni watoto,
they will let them to go to school to encourage learning for this month, because in a minute you can do something a lot while learning. While being at home you can unaweza kuwa lazy sasa.
In Savanis Bookshop, a business that has been running for over 60 years, has suffered severe losses in the last 7 months. The situation is no different.
Yes, we are in business over 60 years. I've never seen such bad business ever. To the end of the standard 4, class 8 and Form 4 is going to open. We thought we might be a bit busy, but what I see here, I don't see any business here. I don't see anything. I don't see anything coming here. Next year, then it might be repeat. So if it's repeat, then the same thing, because the people have already bought the books. So I don't see any improvement.
Ready or not, the day is finally here. The shelves behind me on a normal school opening day are usually almost empty. This aisle that I'm standing on a normal school opening day is usually jam-packed with customers. But today, it's almost deserted. As the Kenya education system still stands in limbo, and the students that went back to school today have 51 days to prepare for their national exams. Vicky Mogambi reporting for Switch TV.
Thank you, Vicky. Now switch gears to politics, where Deputy President William Ruto is now calling on President Uhuru Kenyatta to have a sit-down with all leaders in order to forge a one united front, saying in order to unite all Kenyans, all leaders must be included in the Building Bridges initiative. Speaking in his Sugoi home, Ruto has said without sitting down and agreeing on how to drive the unit vehicle, the handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM party leader Raila Odinga through the BBI might not be fulfilled as envisioned. Lincoln Mambugu reports.
Deputy President William Ruto sadly hit out at President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga in their rallying call for building bridges, citing that in order for this to be achieved, they must include everyone in the Building Bridges initiative.
All right, my apologies for that story. We'll be amending those clips and we'll be bringing you that story in a short while. Now, the Election Observation Group, ELOG, has called out on leaders who are conducting early campaigns and whom they are alleging are using provocative speeches that might fuel violence and tension in the country as the country gears up for the next general elections. Speaking today during a press conference, the lobby group has urged politicians to be responsible in their speeches and to stop their premature campaigns before 2022 general elections. Wellington Ojwang reports.
As the political temperatures continue to rise in the country, with leaders crisscrossing the country in what appears to be early campaigns ahead of the 2022 polls, the Election Observation Body has today faulted the leaders, urging them to follow the legal framework on campaign timeliness.
We are aware that there is an electoral legal framework which has very clear timelines for political campaigns. Any activity outside this framework should be discontinued and action taken on the violators. We have a very clear campaign period.
They also urge the political class to desist from making inciting remarks that have been experienced in the past few weeks.
In the last general election, ELOG was monitoring hate speech. And again, we noted that time how that contributed to tensions in the country, how that contributed to people being even moved away from their areas as we came close to voting. So we are seeing the same issues. We are telling our leaders, can they be responsible? Can they be sober? Can they be able to to take responsibility over the way they interact with members of the public under these circumstances?
On the issue of the upcoming by-elections, ELO claims that IEBC has not communicated on the protocols for mini-polls under the COVID-19 environment.
We know that IEBC has been working on these COVID-19 protocols, and we also are aware that they have actually been shared with the Ministry of Health. Can they now come back to all stakeholders so we can all be able to discuss their merits so that once they are being applied and also disseminated to the members of the public, so the public is aware of the framework in which they are going to be operating under.
Elections in particular suffer from the malady of a deficit of trust. And so all processes involved in the electoral processes must be of high trust.
With the general election exactly 22 months to go, the political temperatures are no doubt in the rise, with early political campaigns full of provocative utterances and speeches that may fuel ethnic tension and violence being witnessed. Leaders are now being urged to be responsible in their speeches and to adhere to the legal framework on campaign trails. Reporting for Switch TV, I'm Wellington Ojwang.
Thank you, Wellington. The Ministry of Interior has ironed out its differences with the Senate. Speaking after meeting the Senate leadership earlier this afternoon, the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Security, Fred Matiang'i, has said that there is no backlog of any summons by the Senate or the National Assembly. Matiang'i, who was expected to address the issue of application of double standards by the police service on politicians, has however said the meeting was to meet the new Senate leadership, whom he says they will be working closely with in the next 2 years. There has been claims that the ministry has not been responding to someone by the members of parliament.
Resolutions we have made is to now create a joint implementation matrix that tracks the resolutions of the Senate on some of these, where we need to come up with regulations to fast track the operationalization of legislation and implementation of activities. We do so immediately. Us, in the executive branch of government, responding to Parliament is not a favor. It's a duty under the Constitution that we respond to Parliament, because this is the people's representatives' house. So, and we are always forthcoming in doing that.
All right, to go back to a story I told you earlier on, where Deputy President William Ruto is now calling on President Uhuru Kenyatta to have a sit-down with all leaders in order to forge a one united front, saying in order to unite all Kenyans, all leaders must be included in the Building Bridges initiative. Speaking in his Sugoi home, Ruto has said without sitting down and agreeing on how to drive the unit vehicle, the handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM party leader Raila Odinga through the BBI might not be fulfilled as envisioned. Lincoln Wambugu reports.
Deputy President William Ruto sadly hit out at President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga in their rallying call for building bridges, citing that in order for this to be achieved, they must include everyone in the Building Bridges initiative.
Nakumbushwa maneno yaliyo katika Biblia, kitabu ya Amos 3 na mstari wa 3. Amos 3 verses 3 inasema, hakuna vile wawili wanaweza kutembea pamoja kama hawajapatana. Si ni lazima tutembee pamoja kama Wakenya? Tutatembea pamoja vipi kama hatujaketi vile tumeketi? Tupatane, tuelewane, tukubaliane, ndio tutembee safari moja ya kuunganisha Wakenya, ya kujenga taifa letu pamoja.
Dr. Ruto has also asked police not to be selective in application of the law, adding that it is the responsibility of police to serve all Kenyans equally, irrespective of ethnic, political and social status in the society. According to Ruto, it is time Kenyans embrace politics of peace, love and unity as part of the ongoing efforts to attaining a united country free from tribalism and negative ethnicity.
Kama tunaweza kuongea mambo ya Prime Minister na Deputy Prime Minister, na tukuongea mambo ya bodaboda, iko makosa gani?
Reverend Engineer Caleb Olali, who is the Supreme Archbishop Nomia Faith Churches, has urged politicians to tolerate one another.
Lack of tolerance leads to fighting, violence, and finally destroys peace and security of a society. Tolerance creates a society in which people can feel valued and respected, each with their own ideas, thoughts and dreams.
Leaders have been urged to stop embracing indivisive politics based on hatred to achieve their selfish ends. For Switch TV, I'm Lincoln Wumbogo.
Thank you, Lincoln. You're talking to us via SMS line. That is 111 444 111 111 444 111. Some of the SMSs that are coming in. Richard Kirago, you're saying, I am present. Richard, thank you so very much. Kings de Papel, you're saying, we are tuned in from Wetavia. Laughter's Water, you are saying, we are present. Talk to me via 111 444 111. Tell me, where are you watching us from? We take a short break. We'll be back with more. All right, and welcome back. Some of your SMSs that are coming in via 111, 444, 111. Ernest Mananga Jr., you're saying you're tuned in. Paul Kapchanga, unasema nipo. Shukran. Moving on, Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kivisho has said that only invited guests will be allowed into Gusii Stadium during the Mashujaa Day celebrations that will be happening later this month. Speaking while leading the National Celebrations Committee during a tour of the stadium ahead of the Mashujaa Day celebrations, Kivisho has lauded the Kisii County government for cooperation and high level of preparedness ahead of the national event that will take place on 20th of this month in Kisii County. The committee was hosted by the area governor, James Ongwae.
And today we are here as the National Celebrations Committee, composed of my colleagues, PSs, who have continued to play certain roles in ensuring things are working well. And we've come to inspect, as you are aware, these celebrations are next week on Tuesday, to just ensure that everything is in place.
Kenyans, Karibu Kisii, the land of Matoke, welcome here on 20th. Remember that this country we call Kenya came into being because of Mashujaas. And we remembering them on 20th, so let's remember them.
Let's take some stories from International Front, where armed with a stick, Floro shot a scarecrow with a plastic pot for a headstand guard in front of a burial Cambodian home. A sentry has been erected by superstitious farmers to ward off the coronavirus.
Armed with a stick, a floral shattered scarecrow with a plastic pot for a headstand guard in front of a rural Cambodian home. A sentry erected by superstitious farmers to ward off the coronavirus.
My family sets up Ting Mong scarecrows to prevent COVID and evil from threatening my family. Known as Ting Mong in Kama, the creatively rendered scarecrows often pop up in villages that have been hard hit by infectious diseases like dengue or waterborne diarrhea. This time, I've set up the Ting Mong to prevent the coronavirus from threatening my family. The elderly have superstitions, so during COVID, they set up a Ting Mong to prevent the disease from spreading.
A woman has posted two in front of a wooden stilt home in Kampong Cham province, about 110 kilometers northeast of the capital, Phnom Penh. The other is dressed in a camo green and has a stick propped like a rifle across its hay-stuffed chest.
I set it up, a scarecrow, because I worried that the deadly COVID-19 will infect my children, and villagers did the same.
The majority Buddhist kingdom has a strong strain of animism incorporated into the daily lives and rituals of Cambodians, with many believing that spirits are tied to places, animals and things.
I have set up a scarecrow since outbreak to ward the virus off from the village because there are children and old people in it. We all fear the virus, so villagers set up scarecrows, but some have fallen down while mine is still standing. I made two of them. The first one was broken, so I made another one.
In Trapengsla village, no chances are taken. An effigy is tied to the gate of nearly every home, though constructed with varying degrees of effort. Some are elaborately dressed in military uniform or floral pajamas, while others simply have stuffed bags with sunglasses patched on them for a head. Nyakundi Kelvin, Switch.
I actually don't know how scarecrows will ward off the coronavirus. Okay. Wilson Borongo watching from Nyamira, Switch TV, keep the spirit and maintain the tempo. Thanks. Winnie watching from Eldoret, mark me present, asante sana. Watching Switch TV News live from Kehoto, Naivasha, that is Nakuru County, Emmanuel Simiyu. Now it's time for business, and Clifford is standing by to give you just that.
right, business determines the direction the world is taking, and here are the latest news-making headlines in the business world now. Regional low-cost carrier Jambojet has commenced direct flights from Mombasa to Kisumu and Eldoret. The inaugural flight started last week. Speaking during the official launch at the Kisumu International Airport, the carrier's acting managing director Karanjan Degwa noted that direct flights between Mombasa, Kisumu and Eldoret will be key in connecting business people and holiday makers who wish to fly between the three destinations with ease and convenience.
It has not been easy for the aviation industry, not only in Kenya, but across the world following the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. The closure of the Kenya airspace in March meant that we had to completely put to a halt our operations in all our local and regional destinations. When we resumed in July, we started with 2 frequencies. Then by the time we got to the month of August, towards the end, we moved to 3 frequencies. And effective last week on Friday, we started 4 frequencies per day to Kisumu. We have resumed operations in all our local destinations. That is Nairobi, you'll find Kisumu, Eldoret, Mombasa, Ukunda, and Malindi.
All right, Kenya borrowed 374 billion in 2 months, pushing the country's total public debt to more than 7 trillion by the end of August 2020. Data from CBK shows that nearly 60% of the borrowed cash between July and August came from the domestic market, where Treasury got 224 billion at 7 trillion shillings. This means that public debt is 2 trillion shy of the 9 trillion ceiling that Parliament set for the National Treasury. I spoke to John Mwaniki, who is the Deputy Governor, Laikipia County, as well as an economist for Kenya, to be able to pay this loan. Then SMEs should be fully supported by the government. Let's take a look.
Borrowing is not a problem. The problem is how we use our money. Look, our budget, 80% of it nearly goes to the current. We need to convert it to the other way around, that 40% is what is our recurrent cost, 60% is development. We need to stimulate the economy so that all those enterprises that have been affected by COVID are able to return back to production. They're able to reopen their businesses by offering them credit guarantee, cheap, affordable credit, economic stimulus, and that is what will make important that these economies are able, the SMEs are able to go back to jobs, so that then they can rehire their person.
All right, still on matters to do with loaning, at least 337 digital mobile lenders will not be able to list borrowers with credit reference bureaus after Central Bank of Kenya blacklisted them. The lenders who were blacklisted after a public outcry where they were accused of misusing credit information sharing mechanisms. The withdrawal is in response to the numerous public complaints over misuse of the CIS by unregulated digital and credit-only lenders, and particularly their poor responsiveness to customer response, or rather complaints, said CBK. Following this move, what does the Digital Lenders Association of Kenya spokesperson Kevin Mutiso think?
We are happy that the regulator is taking firm actions to solve some of the problems that we have in the industry, and we're really looking forward to having engagement with the central bank and other stakeholders to have regulation, because we can't wait for regulation. We want to be regulated like yesterday. There's a current CBK amendment bill currently being passing through Parliament. We understand that CBK has made their recommendations, and we can't wait to hear what those recommendations are, because we think that digital lending is a important industry for the future of Kenya.
Now, UK supermarket giant Tesco has suspended the supply of avocados from Kakuzi, which a vast Kenyan plantation operation accused of systemic human rights abuse in a new lawsuit. Britain's biggest grocery retailer announced the move after a legal action against UK firm Camellia, whose subsidiary runs the site, had been initiated. The lawsuit, filed on behalf of 79 Kenyans at London's High Court, accuses the subsidiary Kakuzi of employing security guards alleged to have perpetrated horrific abuses since 2009.